Hey everybody, welcome to Glenn's Garage. On today's video, on the E46 convertible here, going to be looking at some wiring issues I have in the trunk. Pretty common issue on the E46 and technically other BMWs. Okay, so on my E46 convertible here, I have a couple of wiring electrical related issues, if you will. First one is the release under here to release a trunk. Does not work. Key works. I fixed that a while ago, so the key down here works. It releases just fine from the button in the kick panel under there, which is how I typically release it. The key fob doesn't work, but the key fob, my key fob's pooched right now. So I'd like to try and see if we can get that working. And also one of the license plate lights doesn't work, even though it has a new bulb. So we're going to investigate that as well. All right, so I've just released the latch from inside the car here. I'll lift that up. And we'll see here, there's a button here that should, you press that and it should release the latch, so you can just walk up to the car and do that. And also this light isn't working. This one is, that one's fine. This one's not. So it looks a little, it's not the prettiest lens in there, but it's got a new bulb in it. And it should be working. So what I'm suspecting the problem is the wires going to it. And a lot of BMWs, most of them, will have some version of this type of wiring harness that comes through here and then goes up into the trunk. I had the same problem on my E60 I owned a while ago. And what happens is when the trunk closes, this folds. And it folds enough that over time, that constant pinching and folding of the wires, it fatigues them and they break. So what I suspect is when I peel this out of here and slide this back down, I'm going to see, there may be some tape in here or something on part of it, but I'm going to open this up and have a look. And I suspect there's going to be some wires that are broken or probably even very nearly broken if they're not already. So let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to start by removing this grommet as part of this harness protector out of the trunk stamping here, the inner. It's rubber, so it should just, there we go. Okay, so there's the harness that goes through all the wires. So we slide this down now. I'm suspecting it's somewhere in here. There's going to be some broken wires, I guess. And, oh, look at that. You can see the broken wires there. The white one doesn't look good. The yellow one certainly doesn't. The blue one back there, there's another one there. There's at least 3 or 4 there that are not looking that particularly pretty. So I'm suspecting that's probably part of my problem. So what I'm going to do is I'll open this tape up here, push this down as far as I can, open the tape up here, and then we'll start separating the wires and solder them, join them back up. Okay, so I've pushed this down a lot further here, so I'm just going to open this up a little bit here. I say I wouldn't try not to do any damage, but I think most of the damage is done, so I'll try and do this without cutting my fingers, I guess. Okay, so having gotten the tape apart, I can see that indeed there's been some repairs done in here, so it's not a new problem. I had one wire quite broken, which was this yellow one here, and then a bunch that have, for some reason, have got damage to the insulation, so I'm going to put some tape around those for now. Although they all seem that the copper wire is all intact on all of those, so we'll start with this one and see if we have any luck on either of our issues, and we'll go from there. So I've cut it, stripped the end here, got a piece of wire. Sadly it's not yellow and black, but it's going to be covered with tape anyway. So I've got a piece of wire here. We're going to splice that in and then join it back up to the other end of the yellow here, and then we'll test, see if we've been successful with anything. All right, so I have spliced a little piece of wire in on the yellow and black wire here that was effectively virtually severed, but I checked the wiring diagram and that is nothing to do with the latch release or that light for that matter. So I've fixed that anyway. I've used some liquid tape on some of the little nicks in the insulation where the copper inside doesn't seem to be damaged at all. So just liquid tape just to touch those up. Now I'm going to wrap that whole thing in tape and slide the cover back on. But I haven't gone back up to look at the light here. With a bit more cleaning, I've got both plate lights working now, which is nice, but the latch still refuses to. I can hear it clicking, but that's it. So what we're going to try next is unclip this and see if we can get in there and check the plug that joins that up to the harness, see what that looks like. So first thing, I'm going to take the toolbox off. There are two screws here that screw into these hinges, the plastic hinge thing that's there, so, and they screw right into the sheet metal. So we'll take those two off, and then we're just going to go in with a plastic trim thing and pop all these clips off all the way around, and this cover. Okay, so just working our way around these clips here. The easiest way to do it is just with a little screwdriver here, and you got to get it between the head and the clip. I'll show you when it comes out. There we go. All right, so that's what the clips look like. So you're trying to get the screwdriver between this and this here to get them popped out. So we'll carry on getting all those out, and then we'll have this cover off. All right, so cover off. This is the wire. This is the one that's going to go to the switch. All right, so here's an update on this little project. I'm feeling a little foolish right now. I've done a lot of work, I think, for nothing. But anyway, started chasing down this bit of harness here and did some testing. Had no power anywhere, so I was getting tired and frustrated. So I went in the house, was messaging somebody online about my frustration, and they pointed out quite rightly that you do know that both doors have to be unlocked for that trunk release to work. So while I had checked it wasn't in valet and all that stuff and checked fuses, it hadn't occurred to me to check the most basic thing, which was that it was unlocked. So if I go and unlock the door, hey presto, the switch works. So it didn't break, I just had the door locked. But nevertheless, it was a good exercise in getting this off. I could do this little video to show people where this wire harness is. What we're going to do now, we're going to tape up this, tidy this all up, put it back together, and then reassemble the cover, and that's back onto the truck. So I've got this tape back up where all the repairs were, and in spite of not having to take this apart to fix the issues I was chasing, there was indeed a wire there that was on the verge of letting go that would have given me a lighting issue in the trunk in the very near future. So glad I took it apart for that. Now, a lot of people will say when you take this apart and try and work in here, you need to slice this open, go in with a knife and slice this, open it all up and get into the wires. And then some kind of miracle repair of this. I don't know, tape or something. In my opinion, I don't think that's the best thing to do if you can possibly avoid it. Like, this is effectively waterproof. As soon as you cut this open and try and wrap tape back around it, it's not waterproof anymore. So you know, my recommendation, if at all you can, is to push it down like I do, concertina all these little grooves up, and you can get this down, certainly down below where the natural bend in the wire is, where the repairs are likely to be needed. So I would certainly attempt this, pushing it down as far as you can first before I would slice it open. But again, this would just be my recommendation. So, okay, so we're going to slide this back up a little tighter to go in here because there's a little more tape there than there was. Working this back in. So next we'll just put the cover back on. Alright, so we're going to put the cover back in here. Got it sitting in the trunk right now, so that's just, I'm literally just going to slip on here. And then we've got the clips. Okay, there we go. So we'll do that on the remainders there, then we just got to put the two there. So the two hinge tabs just slide down into these two slots here. And then you've got two Phillips screws, and if you've got the original screws, and you can see that, there's like the flocking, the fuzzy stuff that's on this cover is on the screw too, so they don't show up so much. So we're just gonna put that in the right place here, so I need a little bit of light for that. And then the last thing, the retainer strap, he says, struggling with it. Lock that in, turn it around, there we go. Alright, that job is done. Back together. Alright, so just got to tidy up in the trunk now, but it's done. And if I press this little button here, it's actually working now. Not because of anything I did taking this apart, but anyway, good exercise. Job done, so thank you very much for watching. I hope it was helpful to you if you have electrical problems in your trunk. Again, that's the first place to look for sure. This is where most of the problems are going to be. If you do have to dig in under here to the harness, at least you can see how easy it is to get it apart. And a lesson learned, check the very basic obvious stuff first before you start taking things apart. In my case, a simple unlock of the entire system instead of just a driver's door would have saved me a bunch of stuff. Although, you know, in fairness, I found a wire that was going to let go too. So, everybody, you have a great day. If you enjoyed the video, hit like and subscribe. I would certainly appreciate that. And we'll see you back here in the garage.